This is Tom Duty, middle-aged American living in New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel. If you're to visit my website, you type Howdy Doody into Google. Correct spelling of the famous puppet. You then combine Tom Duty in a Google search from my site. More legible and daylight. It says Kramer's. Kramer's is a liquor store in New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel. It's Tom Duty, middle-aged American living in New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel. Be reading from New York Times yesterday. Yesterday's New York Times, July 20th. Internal inquiry seals fate of Roger Ailes at Fox. Second time I've read this story. It was breaking news maybe a week ago when Gretchen, I don't know her last name, I trust she's mentioned in this article. Gretchen had filed a lawsuit including wrongful termination, and accused the top chief of Fox for sexual harassment. Now, I titled that Blowjob Broker because of some text in her lawsuit that says he's accused of soliciting Gretchen for sex, is saying that's just the way things works, and he called this a friendship, and that there's a number of friendships, and that's the way things work at Fox. And Gretchen allegedly said, have to be friends with anyone else, and he said you might have to give a few blowjobs. So I titled that was my own inspiration. I called it Blowjob Broker, which is what I've done again on this one. It was a provocative title and it got a number of clicks. But the real title, the legitimate, non-sensationalized title, is Internal Inquiry Sealed the Fate of Roger Ailes at Fox. Yesterday's New York Times. The image is from Getty Images. The photographers drew on Gerber. I do not. That's the image that appeared with the New York Times text. I do not repost it here. It is of Roger Ailes and his wife. The writers on the story, the investigative reporters, include Drew Anger. It's Anger with another ER, so that's Drew Anger. I'm sorry, he's a photographer. He took the picture of Roger Ailes and his wife. The text is by Jim Rutenberg and Ben Protests. It's not spelled like protest. It's Protess and Emily Steele. So 3 people wrote this. I will repeat. The people who wrote this include Jim Rutenberg, Ben Protests, and Emily Steele. July 20th, 2016, yesterday's New York Times. Executives at 21st Century Fox decided to end tenure of Roger Ailes after lawyers they hired to investigate the allegations of sexual harassment against him took statements from at least 6 other women who described inappropriate behavior from Mr. Ailes. 2 people briefed on the inquiry said Wednesday. One of the people said that the details of the allegations, while unverified, were troubling enough that they left 21st Century Fox little choice but to force the end of Mr. Ailes' reign as chairman and chief executive of Fox News. given the potential liability they presented to the company, both legally and in terms of corporate culture. The people with knowledge of the state of discussion over Mr. Ailes' exit agreement said both sides were working toward an accommodation that would recognize Mr. Ailes' service to the company as the founder and leader of Fox News, which sits atop the cable news ratings and is a major profit engine for 21st Century Fox. The agreement could also include a provision for him to continue with Fox as a consultant. But given the personalities and complications involved, the situation was fluid and had no accommodation had been reached by Wednesday night. Fox News did not respond to requests for comment on the status of discussion or to the investigation, which is being conducted by the law firm of Paul Weiss, Rifkind, Wharton, and Garrison. Lawyers for Mr. Ailes did not respond to requests for comment. Mr. Ailes has denied the allegations. Of sexual harassment, and more than a dozen news staff members, including top stars, have publicly supported him. The people briefed on the investigation, who would not speak for attribution because of the sensitivity of the investigation, stressed that it was narrowly focused on the allegations against Mr. Ailes and not a broader climate at the network. But Mr. Ailes' departure will have much wider implications. Given Fox's news placed as a central hub for conservative opinion, do not mention the primary outlet for the Republican Committee for President Donald J. Trump, the shape of its post-Allies operation goes beyond corporate intrigue, as the 21st Century Fox could have consequences for the national political dialogue. In the 2 weeks since Gretchen Carlson, a former Fox anchor, filed a suit against Mr. Ailes, the Murdoch family, which runs 21st Century Fox, had made it clear that its decision to take the allegations seriously was keeping with its desire to follow modern standards for office conduct. And these needed to extend to Fox News as well. The question in the post-Ailes environment is to what extent the Murdochs decided to continue on with Mr. Ailes' current management team. That in turn could determine the future approach and look of the network, which is the outlet of choice for conservative leading viewers seeking an alternative to the mainstream media. Speculation about who Mr. Ailes' successor would be transfixed the media world on Wednesday, with focus on outsiders such as CBS News president David Rhodes, who had worked at Fox News for several years. One of Mr. Ailes' current lieutenants, like Bill Shine and Michael Clemente, Jesse Angelo, or someone for conservative media like Christopher Ruddy, the founder of chief executive of Newsmax Media, Inc. At least for the day, fears of some of Fox News primetime stars like Bill O'Reilly, Sean Hannity, and Greta Van Susteren would exercise contract clauses to leave with Mr. Ailes' loss of his chairmanship appeared to abate. Network staff members were acutely focused on Megyn Kelly. Who had hinted in recent months that she wanted to leave the network. She was one of the women who told Paul Weiss, investigators, that Mr. Ailes had acted improperly with her. One of the people briefed on the inquiry said Tuesday. Ms. Kelly maintained her silence on Wednesday. But the end of Mr. Ailes' chairmanship approached. It appeared to embolden other women to discuss their experiences at the network. Several spoke with reporters on condition that they would not be named. The interviewers, several current and former Fox News employees, said inappropriate comments about a woman's appearance and her sex life were frequent in the newsroom. The newsroom had been on edge in the week since Ms. Carlson filed her suit. One person said, everybody wants to talk about the drama, but nobody wants to talk in the open. The person said, on Wednesday evening, staff members had not received an email from 21st Century Fox News or Mr. Ailes informing them about the events that had transpired, the investigation, or the future of the network. The swift pace of events at Fox News. Only 2 weeks passed between Ms. Carlson's filing of her lawsuits and negotiations to end Mr. Ailes' leadership were especially surprising for a network that has made its name by embracing politically incorrect themes, something in keeping with the brash personality of both Mr. Ailes and the 21st Century Fox patriarch, Rupert Murdoch. Female hosts in skirts sitting behind translucent desks that can highlight their legs have always been a network trademark. To completely move away from that ethos would be fundamental change to the network. And 21st Century Fox leadership will have to be mindful of maintaining its special relationship with viewers that Mr. Ailes has carefully cultivated and which is central to the financial and ratings of the network. Mr. Murdoch will ultimately determine the direction in close consultation and perhaps even some deference to the two sons he is grooming to succeed him, Lucian and James Murdoch. The latter, at least, is known to have different politics from his father. So far, none of the three has made any public statements about the network, its future, and that matter, Mr. Ailes. Brooks Barnes contributed to the reporting. So that's a fourth name who contributed to the reporting. It's a relatively short article to have 4 people involved in, but they put it together in a flash. And so that is the end of the text from New York Times and I'll have a couple of editorial comments. I resist the temptation to mix someone else's text with my own editorial. So I'm trying to make a clear break. End of New York Times. This is a remarkable story, and I'm not perfectly comfortable out here with a police car there. So I'm going to end. Tom Duty, middle-aged American living in New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel. Ciao.